So last semester, I was part of Dr. Tran's Fun and Games course, and for the Fun and Games course, we had to come up with a presentation that would be viable here. And so my first draft, I went through something, and I kind of hit a dead end with it. And it wasn't until around October that a game called Hyrule Warriors came out. And me being a big video game fanatic, a gamer, I picked it up and I started playing it, and I was like, this is amazing. How did I not know I wanted this all along? And then I started the question, what do I want? What does the gaming community want? So I set off to do research. And if you ask people, they will lie to you. I guarantee it. Because, let's see if I can get this to work. Most gamers say that they want innovation. Games like Okami, I don't know how the laser pointer works. Yeah. Games like Okami, where the entire game resembles something of Japanese art style. The old on-scrolls, watercolors with thick lines, where the spectacle of the game is what makes it. Or games like Shadow of the Colossus, where the entire game is a puzzle and breaks everything we ever knew about video games. But then there are games like Battlefield and Call of Duty, which every year come out with a new game and sell millions of copies. So if Okami sold about 200,000 in its lifespan, and Shadow of the Colossus sold about 300,000, not including their HD re-releases, that's about 500,000 copies. Not a bad number, but comparative to Call of Duty Ghosts, in Call of Duty Ghosts' lifetime, it sold 19 million copies. That's a lot of numbers. I can't even count that high. So, if, Okami and Shadow of the Colossus, the games that we want, are clearly sold less, what do we want? Well, how about Super Mario Brothers? Because I was comparing tomatoes to potatoes. Super Mario is something everybody loves. Dr. Dan loves it. And thank you, Mrs. Renata, for playing that. That made me very happy. So, if we look at the numbers of the Super Mario series, we can see that the Super Mario series has sold a lot. 40.23 million of the original. 10 million of Super Mario Bros. 2, where they deviated from the formula. 17.28 for Mario Bros. 3, where we went back to the original formula. 20.34, where we went, again, back to the original formula. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, 4.12 million. Super Mario 64, 11.91. Super Mario Sunshine, 5.9. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, where we literally basically remade the original Mario Bros. 30.75 million. Super Mario Galaxy, 12.22. And New Super Mario Bros. Wii, again remaking an original Mario Bros. Game, sold 28.65 million. So, if we look at the two biggest deviations from the original formula, Mario Sunshine and Super Mario Galaxy, together, they sold less than the original Mario Brothers. So, what do we want if it's not innovation? Because the numbers don't lie. If we can have 500,000 of something that we want, sell, compared to the 19 million that we don't want, you're lying to yourself. So, now you're all asking a question. What about the things that got popular without big budgets? Flappy Bird, Grow Home on the computer. All of these games that were made by tiny little development teams. Well, there's a thing called diffusion of innovations theory. And this is how any big idea ever gets adopted. First, we start with the innovators. I mean, who out there invented an iPad? Nobody? That's what I thought. 2.5% of people. But how many people ran out on the first night the iPad was out and bought one? Again, nobody. Okay. Well, that's fine. You're not early adopters then. What about the iPhone 6? Did anybody run out to grab one of those? Nope. Again. Okay. Well, you guys are just the greatest. So, But those people would be considered the early adopters, the people that ran out on the night one and picked it up. Then the early majority follows. With the early majority basically picks up what has been picked up by everyone else, and they run with it. Then, of course, the late majority and the laggards follow, which, seeing all their friends pick up, they don't want to be left behind. So, how does this convince to gaming? Well, in the gaming community, there is important things. It's called YouTube and the internet. And we can add a diffusion of innovations theory to the internet. Oh, there's my slide. To a man named PewDiePie. I know. Ridiculous. Don't blame me. He's the biggest number on YouTube. He's the innovator. So, PewDiePie is a man who plays games online, and he makes money for this, by the way. And people that see his videos look at them, watch them, see the gameplay, and think, I might like this. So, he is our perfect example of an innovator with, making 301,000 views in an hour, but that's YouTube's broken thing. 2 million 2 days ago, and then there's that. I'm not even touching that one. He can take risks because all of his videos get millions of views. So he can play things like Butt Simulator and not care if it flops. So after seeing people like that, people like Markiplier, Smosh Games, and the Game Grumps can pick up these games and be like, oh, we like these, and they can fall comfortably into the early adopter category, where they don't have as much to lose, but they can still pick up something and run with it. Then, of course, with, the trickle-down of people who watch them compared to PewDiePie, we get the early majority, and the early majority suddenly pick up Grow Home or Flappy Bird or Minecraft or whatever the hot popular game is. And then they tell their friends about it, and then the late majority comes. With the late majority, the laggards come. And then suddenly you have people playing these games that never even heard of YouTube. I don't know how, but it's possible. So, and this also brings me to a point of co-op games. Co-op games have made a really big point in the past couple of years. The best example I have of this, in 2009, a game called Borderlands was released. It was shown as a co-op shooter. This game sold maybe 2 million copies. I'm sorry I don't have a slide of this. I wish I did. But this game sold 2 million copies. Now, and it offered itself as a co-op shooter. Then, in 2012, I believe, the sequel came out. The sequel sold 10 million copies. The co-op community has grown because people want to experience this with other people. So what we want is not really innovation and things that are new. What we want is to belong to I'm sorry, I can't speak. But we want to belong to a group of people that's something bigger than ourselves. We want to be able to talk with each other and have fun with each other. And I think that's just darn dandy. Thank you for your time.